Ladies and gentlemen, Bill Watkins.
Good evening once again. Another Wednesday comes along. I hope you enjoyed the speech from last week. Tonight, I wanted to cover some of the things I covered last week or expand based on some feedback I got on the speech from last week, especially from Mom and from a wonderful Facebook friend named Luann in Canada. Luann Wilson, hollering out to you, shout it out, and some things I've been reading with passion, with love. So patriotism was mentioned last week, and Luann in Canada picked up on that. She was nice enough to give the time to watch my 9-minute speech, I guess. Thank you for that, for anyone else. And she picked up on the, for me, I know exactly where she's coming from. Something she and I had debated before, talked about before. We are really on the same page there, Luann and I. And that's that there is also, besides in Los Angeles, where I am, the lack of law, appreciation of law, respect for law, obedience to law that you have here, that lends to what I feel is a zero patriotism, or it's a low patriotism. It's hard to find gung-ho, I love the United States of America, California here. So I was really speaking from my area, but Luann was picking up on the idea that there's too much patriotism among some of us, and I get it. That's sometimes the conservative right, southern conservative right. I'm not sure exactly. I don't want to pigeonhole one thing. Sometimes between Luann and I, we know as hockey fans, Luann, way superior hockey fan and knows more as a Canadian than I do, as a Kings fan in Los Angeles. But there's a blindness to some patriotism and an ignorance that lends towards ethnocentrism, where we are thinking our country is the best. This mentality, I'm over it. I used to be like that actually myself. I've got the United Nations flag up tonight. I would have had a little Canadian flag, but it just wasn't high quality. I'll look for others and maybe bring it next time. Thought I might sing a bar or two of "Oh Canada" or something else in lieu of that. No pun intended on Luann's name. I was a former comic, and I don't mind laughing at my own jokes. It's if no one else does, it's good. It's good. I'll put in a track laughter maybe after I get into the editing of this speech. But long story short, patriotism, we overdo that, and I know that, Luann. You picked up on that, and you got it. You nailed that. For what I mentioned with Luann on the Facebook when she responded, that's sometimes a middle class and up educated American who's got that blind patriotism. Here in LA, we're low. We're kind of low on education often, and we just don't know any of the laws, and we need some patriotism here. I mean, I think that's clear now what I meant. Second, moving on, is law, and I had a nice talk with my mom about law. I fell in love with law in about year 2000, Conan O'Brien. The year 2000 was a year I moved. Mom helped me move into a place in Pasadena. Long story short, I was in early sobriety, recovery, experimental. Maybe I could better quit drinking and using any substances for the rest of my life. Bottom line, I hunkered down into a little townhouse in South Central Pasadena. Watch out, tough neighborhood. And I had law books, Gatorade, some sandwiches, and I just hunkered down for a few weeks studying law. And I fell in love. I love the stories and the case law. My friend Andy Esmenshade, a lawyer, local attorney, a tort attorney, civil attorney, he lent me his criminal law books from law school. I'm very grateful, and I still have them. Well, one of them I lent it to a friend. Camo, I need that law book back, please. But anyways, I fell in love. American law history I studied, read a big book on that. I did cases, and I looked at criminal law terms, definitions, Latin terms, things like this. And I fell in love with that, which is important because some people don't give a darn about law, and they just don't come from that. They never fell in love with law like that. I think maybe with my mom and others, there are different codes to go by in life, and some choose kind of a different code. I like the law. I like coming together around a code, especially, again, it's almost like where I live. I'm speaking from LA, from where I live, a kind of a tough neighborhood. Those who live in a really nice neighborhood, it might be a different code we're looking for there. Law doesn't come up as much as whether it's country club ethic, manners. There's a different code that really is in play, sometimes more than law. So I guess it's with Luann, my mom, it's kind of like it's about where you're from, and I'm speaking from a tough neighborhood that I believe laws is a critical thing to learn, understand, and put into our schools. As I reiterate from last week, when you have thousands of kids coming together to be taught in a mandatory fashion, we need to teach law. So I guess I don't want to repeat last week's speech, but that's just a given, and I need to work on that. Not just say a speech, but I need to make visits and calls and emails and go to meetings on that. I also read, and I fell in love with the passion of John Hancock this week. So I'll bring up John real quick. The big signature in the Declaration of Independence, July 4th, 1776. I got emotional. I was at Newport Beach, Fashion Island, just bought a bunch of books there. This classic American speeches, and John, rest in peace, and with all respect, well, he grew up, I don't know too much, but he appeared to be upper class, big time, and very wealthy, and a businessman who did well financially. But comes time for independence, and even before independence, he has a speech about the Boston Massacre 4 years after that happened in 1774. There's an anniversary to that horrible tragedy, and he speaks on that, and there's a quote I might share from that. But John, first thing that hit me when I was reading this other book, a constitutional law book that had other founding forefather sort of essays. John, that big signature, I never reflected on it until just a few days ago, and it hit me in type, not in the original handwritten declaration, but just right there in type in the book. And it had John Hancock big, and then the rest of the guys were small. And it occurred to me, I got emotional out there at Fashion Island in the food court reading. I was looking around, does anyone see me? But someone who stuck his neck out. It's a statement, big time. At a time, as I understand it, it was extremely risky to come out of the closet as full-blown American. I am breaking away. I am rebelling. I am, I don't know about declaring war, but the statement is, your threats to hang me as a traitor, all of this is on the line, and guess what? It's all been too abusive, this monarchy, blah, blah, blah. It's all so much that I'm willing to die for this cause. Patrick Henry's Give Me Liberty or Give Me Death. It's a speech I'm going to probably read later tonight again. But there he was, big. Come and get me, England. Come and get me. John Hancock, big letters. This is me. for me, I love it. It's touching because I relate with this. He's kind of a guy who had a lot financially and gave it up. And if you don't think you're giving that up when you put your neck out like that, I disagree. He's giving it up right there. He's giving up his wealth, and he's saying, "I'm a revolutionary." That's what I am. I'm 100% for a cause. I love that. So that's John Hancock. And I guess the quote is just to do with government. At the beginning of a speech about the Boston Massacre in 1774 in Boston, March 5th, 4 years after that massacre happened, let's see, society promote, faithful, subject to say. Okay. Security to the persons and properties of the governed is so obviously the design and end of civil government that to attempt a logical proof of it would be like burning tapers at noonday to assist the sun in enlightening the world. It's a clever writer and speaker, neat metaphors. Security to the persons and properties of the governed is so obviously the design and end of civil government. That's a take. Security. It's interesting. I'm not fully gung-ho on that. There might be more to it, to government than just to secure the governed. But it's a neat concept, and it goes along with my despair at illegal fireworks and fireworks season here in Los Angeles and Los Angeles County and beyond. Maybe it's a statewide problem. I think it probably is. So I look forward to new legislation there. But security, I don't feel secure at times by government. I think there's more that gives you security than government. I still believe in prayer and turning things over to a power greater than ourselves, 100%. That's not combining church and state. That's just good sound wisdom. It's to know that we don't cut it sometimes. We have our democracy, people rule, but we are wise to back up from that sometimes and realize that we're not ruling today. There was an earthquake. We did not rule. It's just humility is a good thing. I had a political party concept once called geocracy, and to be a geocrat, God, earth, people rule. It's kind of a three-part rule, and it was just more reflective of truth, because people rule sometimes. There's some things we get done, but sometimes we are at the mercy of powers greater, and anytime we can invoke a positive power greater, the better. So I'm old school there. I still believe in it. Ted Decker, novelist, was the other thing I read and thought it might be interesting to bring up tonight. About law. Going back to law real quick, into what Mom and I spoke of. So through a main character in a book he wrote called The Priest's Graveyard, I've not finished, page 39 of that, there's a vigilante character named Danny, I guess a priest. His hard times in a foreign land, Bosnia, I believe, civil war, led him towards a vigilante pose, and he dealt with corrupt politicians by criminal acts, so I don't condone that at all. But I just wanted to bring up a line in the book that was interesting, and I wonder if it's Ted Decker's view. But he'll be speaking of this congressman from California who this vigilante has captured. Again, not condoning this. I just want to get the quote out. There slouched an esteemed congressman from California, fattened on the many lies fed to him by a corrupt system that had long ago embraced the law instead of love. Troubled me a little bit, this quote. I may have gone over it sort of already, but this is a second take on the speech. I have technical difficulties, so I forget what I've said kind of, or what was that first take, but I'll just go over it anyways. Law instead of love. my falling in love with law and studying it as I did all by myself and hunkering down, and I ended up writing a 30-page paper on the law. Gave it to Mom. It was a manual typewriter that I used, and one copy went to Mom. I don't know if she still has it or not. But I tried to tear down law as a stand-up comic and a writer, artist. It's often a goal. We look for punchlines. We look for things to tear down. And in 30 pages, I found nothing about law I could tear down. It was a love story, really, about law. Now, law enforcement's another thing, but law itself, I broke it down. It's for me, it's a Mona Lisa. It's a work of art. It's an art form. It's a collaborative art form. Many people get together, usually many people, to write down, think about things, debate about things, iron out something, write it down, and have it serve as an ideal for how we should do things or behave. And it's noble for me, extremely noble. And that effort is just the best thing in life. Is making an effort, as law makers do, is glorious and amazing. And I can find no fault with that. Regarding should we let love rule, like Decker's character kind of implies, that instead of law we should just let love rule. Wishy-wash for me, wishy-washy. It's the hippie concept, which is good for like about 10 hours, and then we gotta do something. We gotta do something scientific at some point. We gotta make something happen. Love and peace, man. So it's not good enough. I think that we need a law that we make an effort to make. For me, law protects love, peace, and joy. That's what I wrote about 10 times in that 30-page paper I wrote. Love, peace, and joy. These are great things for me. And law is about that protection and that trying to serve those things. So law helps love, but I don't think we could reverse it. In fact, I'm not going to meddle with it in my head because it's kind of diabolical to it's like working with nuclear energy and finding benefits. It's really got to be careful. Maybe just stay away from it. So I like law, and I don't think love can really replace it. This was sort of my way of explaining myself a little bit, why I come out with law as a big value and why I think it should be taught in schools from a young age. As young as 5 can handle a lot of concepts. Stabbing with the pencil somebody in a classroom, to convert that into law, and to talk about assault is not over the top for me. I believe, like I spoke of last week, in preparing children and immigrants for life here in California and the United States and in our municipalities, Los Angeles, not for more school and college, but we have this great opportunity in public schools, and I have to keep looking. I haven't taken a trip down to the border and talked to immigration and gotten into that too much, but we need to do better, whether it's doing a census and getting into a citizenship requirement and making a better effort. It comes back to effort, like with the law, making an effort to reach out to young people, new people in California, tracking folks, bringing them into the fold. And it takes people who care about the law, California, the United States of America, John Hancock, putting his name big, putting his neck out so that someone can come and string it up from the British Army. Here I am, come and get me. God bless him, I garner just a little courage from someone like a Mr. Hancock, rest in peace. And when I'm online fighting illegal fireworks on Craigslist.org, all those sellers out there, and I post one about illegal fireworks, I post a page, and I get hate messages, and I feel people's anger, and they're illegally making money. Drugs is a thing that they make money with, but say with fireworks, it's almost $1 billion industry every year, I think nationwide. California, a lot of that is supposed to be illegal, but we get that traffic unfortunately coming in. We need to budget for a task force on that crime 365 days of the year, not just for me with my PTSD from my drug overdoses, but veterans, war veterans with PTSD. We have to stand up together and just kick out that crime, those bombs, and the fire department would really appreciate that as well. But back to Mr. Hancock, rest in peace, is that we all have to just stand up for what we believe in and get into it. And I guess I'll end almost maybe with a prayer, but I'll put it this way. I can't do any of what I've done. I can't do this. I can't sit here before you. I can't be alive. I couldn't be inspired by Mr. Hancock or Mr. Decker or Luann Wilson or my mom in Orange County if I did not quit using alcohol and drugs and take my stand there, be sober for 13 years, have a higher power in my life. I call God. You can call that entity whatever you feel like, a male or female entity, but get inspiration, feel good. And I do believe in a devil and a God still. I just think good and evil are still fighting each other. And those concepts are just words, right? But they do work. And to kick that negative, if you don't like the word devil, that negative, that evil out of California, I'm talking about personal firework use. I come back to that one for me. Little crimes that happen. We need to kick that out, and I guess like I ended last week, I'll end with alcohol advertising. It's obnoxious. It's in our face. It's on my television. Alcoholics in recovery should not have to see alcohol ads, period. Children should never see alcohol ads, period. We need the same entities or different ones to come up out of the woodwork or right into people's kitchens and get rid of alcohol advertising. Stamp that out like we did cigarettes in 1971. Just say goodbye to those ads. Good luck selling your product of a flammable, volatile liquid, clear liquid that's known as toxic. And you're going to put that in a beverage, and you're going to have it for sale for people to drink. Okay, it's okay. People are in a lot of pain. They need something. Doctors, and there's things that people administer. Alcohol could be, I guess, just one of those for extreme pain. But the advertisement has to go away, like with cigarettes. I'm going to have to wrap it up. My tape is running out, I think. So alcohol advertising, we're going to need to wrap that up and move along. The lobbies are going to try to hit. They'll try to hit me. They'll try to hit anyone saying that. God bless you. I'll give you the other cheek. I love you, and I love you to better things, as I would tell the fireworks sellers on Craigslist. Let's just do better things for our children and think of better things to do to please not just ourselves, but to God above, whatever you believe in. Let's please the highest high in the universe and make California the greatest state we can, and the United States a great country, no better or greater than any other country, Luann. Edits and edits. I probably need money to make better videos, better speeches, but I'm not taking any for any campaign, that's for sure. Don't believe in private campaign spending. Don't believe seats should be bought in politics. They ought to be won by the best ideas in the room. So anyways, I'm trying to close, and I said I might close with a prayer. That's possible. God help us to be a humble yet leading nation, and to the state of California, give us the blessings of peace, love, and joy that come from adherence to the law. Amen. God bless us, and thanks for your time tonight. I went longer, tried to show my passion for law, why it is I'm into it, And I don't know if I fully explained that. I kind of just fell in love with it, and I look forward to passing that out more and more. Those with a love of law, we have a responsibility to do that. So please join me in that if you also have a love there, whether you're an attorney or not, whether you're paid to do that or not. John Hancock just shows courage and shows someone willing to give up his wealth, his status, his everything, to put his neck on the line for something he believes in. So that's a neat thing. And for patriotism, may we find it here in LA somehow, and that will be through a better border, tighter border, indoctrinating aliens and immigrants better with law instruction and citizenship requirements and tests. Same goes for our young people. We're just trying to indoctrinate as well with our public schools, but we're not. We're half doing that with reading lessons and math lessons and a curriculum that is a liberal arts curriculum, and it's good for college, but we're deficient at law and civics and how to live your life in a meaningful way in this community, starting with, let's at least get on the same page with law and what assault means and what the basic laws are. I was trying to conjure and remember the Englishman, John Stuart Mill, I guess it is, who we think of as the first guinea pig with liberal art education. The current form of education, how we go to different subjects and try to master a bunch of subjects. I'm trying to say the first that I know of that tried to do that was John Stuart Mill, famously, and he went nuts. He just flat out went crazy. He was pushed too hard in all of those books, and he lost it, had a breakdown. He came back to be a great philosopher, and the education did click, and it worked later, but may we all beware of book smarts and throwing books at kids, and let's go over the fundamentals, starting with being loving and caring, respectful, as my mom would say. But especially if you live in a hard neighborhood, let's look at, let's do some law study. Let's get out the books and what governs us, and get into that a little bit. Please, God bless us. Thank you.